Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody, on this beautiful day here in Sydney. It's nice to see some sun rather than some rain for a change. Second day of May. We hear and read a lot about at the moment this so-called Great Resignation that's supposed to be taking place internationally around the world and here in Australia. So today's presentation and webinar with Ian is going to be really important about how we keep our employees happy. My name is Barry Orvish. I'm the CEO of AusActive, and I'm joined today by Ian Kwowitz, the founder of 10,000 Feet, a strategic research agency that are partners of AusActive and have worked with us in recent times, gathering information and data to support and inform you as members and the industry generally. In today's session, Ian will share research on member experience and the principles involved in keeping employees and teams happy, because just like a happy wife is a happy life, a happy workplace is if you have your staff happy as well. Ian's going to be joined today by three industry leaders who will share their personal learnings as well. From World Gym Australia, we have their Managing Director, Mike Nyston. G'day, Mike. From Fernwood Fitness, we have Caitlin Jury, who is the General Manager of Ops and Marketing. Afternoon, Caitlin. And from Anytime Fitness, we have Rob Hale, who is the General Manager there as well. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box and we'll get to those at the end of the session. But for now, it's important to hear to the experts. So over to you, Ian.
Thanks very much, Barry, and really looking forward to the session. And we've got great panelists in Mike, Rob and Caitlin, so really looking forward to their thoughts as well. So I'm just going to share my screen to kick us off. You should be able to see that okay now, guys. Thumbs up. Awesome. All right, so we're going to go through a few slides before we go into the panel session, really just to set the scene and give the platform to our industry experts to take you through their thoughts and give their advice and tips. So from an agenda point of view, just to share with you what we're going to go through today and what the learning outcomes are going to be. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes for those of you who aren't familiar with 10,000 Feet, just sharing our fitness, health and wellness sector knowledge and research expertise, just so you understand who we are and where we're coming from with the research and the information today. The second component, the learning outcome, is going to be learning the staff touch points to excel in, to have engaged members. So we're going to spend 5 minutes just looking at some research that we've done with Google reviews, which have been conducted by 10,000 Feet and Customer Convert, breaking down what aspects of gym staff drive a 5-star member review performance. So for those of you who've seen a little bit about this in the past, we're unpacking this further and going deeper. The next component, the learning outcome, is conceptualizing the impact employee engagement has on metrics around member experience and also on the revenue and profitability of businesses. So we're going to spend 2 minutes looking at 10,000 Feet and also Harvard Business Review research, looking at the link between employee engagement and customer satisfaction. The next component is really about setting the scene for our panelists. So we're going to look at, from a learning outcome, showing the path you need to take to have satisfied employees who are going to stay longer, put in extra effort and go that extra mile with your members in a gym, and recommend your business as a workplace in the fitness industry. So we're going to spend 6 minutes just sharing some strategic research that we've done at 10,000 Feet, setting the scene around how you can have employees who will stay, extend and recommend. Then the meatiest part of today's session, I'm sure there'll be some really great learnings. We've got our senior leadership panel, and this is about bringing the principles that we've shared through our research to life through people with great fitness industry experience. So we've got Anytime Fitness General Manager Rob Hale, we've got Caitlin Jury, the Fernwood Fitness General Manager of Operations and Marketing, and World Gym Australia's Managing Director, Mike Nyston. So really the takeaway here from a learning point of view is getting best practice learnings on employee satisfaction so that you can really get a good sense of how to apply that within your organization. We're then going to have question time, so please do pop questions into the chat and the Q&A. Barry is going to be reviewing those, and when we get to that session, he'll be pulling out the questions that have most commonly come through or are going to be of greatest benefit to the audience. And we're just going to wrap up at the end and share some exciting things that AusActive and 10,000 Feet are doing in the sector with an exciting new project to raise the bar in employee engagement. So just quickly on 10,000 feet, from a research point of view, we are leaders in the fitness, health and sports research industry. You can see some of the clients we work with in the space there. We work heavily with AusActive. We're a key research partner. In 2020, we partnered on the study 2020 Consumer Impact of Gym Closures, assessing the essential needs for gyms. So this is where we work closely with Barry and Chris and a bunch of other guys within AusActive, and they would have used that from a lobbying point of view to support the sector through COVID. In 2021, we further supported the industry. We created the inaugural 10,000 Feet Member Love Award that was presented at the AusActive Awards in October last year. And the award utilised leading technology from our sister company, Customer Convert. And in 2022, we're on a mission to support the sector further in taking employee engagement to the next level. We understand through COVID, there's been a bit of an attrition of people in the sector, working within the health and fitness industry, and we want to be able to raise the bar and make the industry an employer of choice. In regards to 10,000 feet, it's not just the health and wellness industry that we work in. We work with leading charities, just some of the charities we work with in Australia, leading cafes and QSR brands, leading retailers across a variety of different retail offerings, and leading service-based business as well. And our goal really is to make our research transformational for teams, brands, customer and member experience, and products. Just quickly, so you've got a sense of how we fit in with the organisations, and this will be a very quick minute and we'll get into the more meaty, interesting part of the day. But typically from an organisation need, we see needs where they want to transform or enhance culture. Our solution is around team engagement research. There's often needs for developing a use case for an investment in brand or understanding if campaigns are shifting brand metrics. We use brand health research there. We want to look at efficiently managing reputation, responding to negative or positive reviews online across multiple platforms. Our reputation management solution is utilized there. Speeding up tactical and strategic decision-making by aligning to what consumers want and also why they want it. That's where we have our usage and attitude category research. When clients want to profile different customer segments to be able to tailor their marketing and also to see the size of the opportunity, we have profiling and segmentation. And last slide here, before we get into it. So we'll often have clients wanting to determine if they want to invest in a product or service before it goes to market, and also to understand if their messages are going to connect and cut through. So we'll do message testing and new product development research before it goes to market. Also knowing if campaigns have hit the mark and shifted perceptions will be via campaign evaluation. Retaining members and driving word of mouth will be member satisfaction. Seeing how a brand's category growth compares to industry, and also understanding are there certain subcategories to invest in will be sales tracking. Creating tactics to engage with customers at every touch point in their journey, from a top of the funnel prospect right through to an ongoing member, is journey mapping around customer and member journey mapping. And lastly, pinpointing small geographic pockets in order to market to them effectively as demographic mapping. So this is our expertise built up over 20 years of working with leading businesses, both in the fitness industry and also other sectors. So jumping into it, our first little section here, the learning outcome is learning the staff touch points to excel in, to have engaged members. So we're going to spend 5 minutes on this. We've done some research that we conducted in the 12 months to April 2021, where we aggregated over 50,000 Google reviews. We used our Customer Convert software to do so. And what we did then is we coded what were the key themes that were coming through from those reviews. So what's going to drive a 5-star review? So we randomly selected every nth response from a data set of close on 24,000 5-star reviews. And so we looked at 255 of those 5-star reviews. We coded them manually into themes and topics. We do recognize, the bigger the code frame, the bigger number of reviews that we code, we'd get a smaller margin of error, but we're really comfortable with our margin of error to give a good read on what's most important to drive a 5-star review. Now, the number 1 and number 2 elements that come through are gym staff. So staff members in a gym or fitness studio is the number 1 reason for giving a 5-star review. That's 49% of the reason. And the number 3 reason is personal trainers. So 28% of the reason why people are giving 5-star reviews on Google are personal trainers. So we can see staff elements are so important and are critical to the member experience. If we unpack this a little bit, we've gone into the sub-themes here. So for those people who have attributed gym or fitness studio staff as the reason why they're giving a 5-star review, the number 1 element they're coming through is friendliness or loveliness. at 50%, so close in 1 and 2 of those who mentioned gym staff. The second component is helpful. The third there is approachable, so all at 27 and 26% respectively. And then it drops away considerably in terms of a long tail. So for those of you who are club managers or individual contributors within a gym environment, really take on board what people are saying here. Being friendly is super important, helpful, and being approachable and welcoming. So just to unpack that a little bit in terms of what that looks like, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. We've got some verbatim comments just to share what's come through on Google, and I won't read all of it out, but just to touch on a few elements here. So the first part, friendly and lovely, you can see everyone is friendly, staff are always happy to see you. You can see here that say the staff are so friendly and it doesn't take long for them to get to know you. Highly recommend the gym. The next component is helpful. We could see here helpful about motivating them to attend, and then also helpful here about staff are going above and beyond with advice as well. The next component is personable and approachable. We can see here everyone makes you feel so welcome. The trainers greet you by name when you walk in the door. So just really taking it to that level of being personable and welcoming. And again, here we can see I feel really valued as a client and love the way all the staff take the same to say hi. And that flows through to them saying, I'm not the type of person I would think that had become a gym person, but this has really driven that. So we can see those key elements coming through. So really worthwhile keeping those in mind if you're in club and trying to display those attributes as much as possible. The next piece here is personal trainers. So if we unpack this a little bit, we can see for people who mentioned personal trainers were the reason why they gave a 5-star review, 29% of the reason is supportive, motivating, and encouraging. So we can see that is a really critical one. That's close on a third. And a great program or plan is 21%, followed by knowledgeable and dedicated and passionate. So, and then we have a bunch of other attributes at a longer tail. If we just unpack these first 4 here, I'm just going to zoom in. We can see supportive, motivating, encouraging. And if Coach Zalen is on the call, and sorry, I can't recall which gym brand you belong to, a really positive review here saying, listen to my exact requirements, pushed me to get there, and I don't see going to the gym as a chore. You can see here with regards to Matt as well, Matt being a supportive coach has been really encouraging, and it's helped me to get up and get to my goals so I can begin running seriously. Then we've got great program or plan. And we can see the elements here that it's a quality training program covering all aspects. They're well planned and thought out. The progression block style training provides enough variety to keep it interesting, but you're also to see that progress, able to see the progress. So again, the great program or plan being really important. Knowledgeable coming through here. So for Susan here, call out that she's got over 10 years of experience and always willing to give that advice. So from a knowledge point of view, keeping up on your professional development and also being confident and willing to share your experiences and your advice. And I booked a few PT sessions and it's the best investment I made, just a walking wealth of knowledge. And the last component here, dedicated and passionate. So we can see here talking about of all the trainers that are amazing, they're so invested and giving their gym community the best possible result. And a call out here for Josh, who's a brilliant personal trainer and clearly loves what he does, and that's going to rub off. So again, we can see those key themes that you want to work on from a PT, making sure you're supportive and encouraging, having that great program and plan in place, sharing your knowledge regularly, and demonstrating it and exuding that passion as well for your craft. So we're now going to get into the next theme. So what we're going to be looking at here is a quick link between the impact of employee engagement metrics and the impact they have on member experience. So we're just going to spend 2 minutes on this. So the first component from 10,000 Feet research is we know for you to have a great member experience, you need to have a great relationship with your direct manager and team as an employee, as an individual contributor. You also need to be satisfied at work. And the last component is longevity. If you've got a great relationship with your team and you're satisfied at work, but there's churn happening every 3 to 6 months, the issue is you don't build up enough time to build those relationships with members, because you want to have that familiarity, that rapport, that familiar face. Obviously, it's got to be the right person, the right team member within the gym. But if they're the right team member, you want them to stick around and have that longevity. And it all leads to member experience. Now, from Harvard Business Review, this was only released in March of this year, and it's a really cool study. We can see that a 3-year study, I just want to flag that this is retail brands, this is not gyms, but they did a study of 1,000 locations for a single US retail brand. So it enabled them to control a lot of the variables in the study. And what they found that if you shifted employees from the bottom quartile to the top quartile in regards to key HR metrics, it led to a 50% increase in revenue and a 45% increase in profits. Now, these are pretty big claims, but the logic of it makes sense. And it was released and it showed that the key performance indicators around the HR piece were tenure. So the length of time that employees were in the organization. So again, going from bottom quartile to top quartile, their skill level, their internal rotation. So by that, that they're skilled in different areas within the business and the organization, such that if somebody's sick or on leave, they can easily swap in, or if it's just under the pump, they can quickly jump in and help out. And the last component is that they were full-time and more invested in the business. So again, we can see not only from the 10,000 feet research, there's that link to member experience, but also from a Harvard Business Review point of view, there's going to be a link from having happy employees who stick around to your bottom line as well. So the next component here from a learning outcome point of view is really setting the scene for our great panelists to then share their industry expertise. And we've got some questions for them that kind of covers some of these topics, some different topics coming up in a moment. But we're going to look here at how to get employees to stay, extend, and recommend. So this is just going to be 8 minutes sharing some of the research that we've conducted at 10,000 feet. So we've conducted, as a background point of view, we've conducted over 800 studies on team member satisfaction. This particular piece of research, which I'm going to share with you, covers team members from 150 plus organizations across a variety of industries. And we designed it by customized research and depth interviews, as well as then quantifying it by a factor analysis and regression analysis. So the 3 key things that we look at is getting an employee to stay. We know how important longevity is to member experience. So what's going to drive an employee to stay for at least the next 3 years? Getting them to extend. We know that to drive member experience, you want employees who are going to go that extra mile in serving members. So what's going to get them to extend? And the last component is eNPS. So a lot of you are probably familiar with member or customer NPS. This is looking at, for employees, how to grow your reputation as an employer of choice that will get employees to recommend working for you. So we looked at all these drivers of behavior, and we looked at some 50 different leading indicators that would drive these. And there's 6 key themes that we see coming through that drive employee satisfaction. So the first component is one-to-one relationships. And we've got delivering the leader's vision, passion and brand pride, empowering your employees, team bond, and then also looking at career progress, training, and benefits. Now, we're going to go into each of these. Unfortunately, from a time point of view, we don't have the time to go through in a lot of detail. So I've just cherry-picked a couple for each of those key themes. They're not necessarily the most important, but they're ones that you should certainly consider if you're somebody who's managing a team. And if you're an individual contributor, thinking how you can support this within your culture. So the first component is one-to-one relationships. So for you to have satisfied employees does really require you to work at it purposefully. So 2 of the 9 items you should engage your direct reports on is understanding personal life goals. So not just career goals, but understanding their entire world. Then also regularly talking to an employee about how they're going and what they can do to improve. The next component is vision. So leaders really need to share their vision and communicate about their wins regularly. For people to have confidence in the vision and that it's achievable and can be executed, 2 of the 10 areas organizations should focus on in their leaders' vision is the vision is inspiring, and also that leaders effectively execute the organization's vision such that they have confidence that when you're putting out your vision in the future, it's going to be one to pull in behind because it's very much achievable. The next component we're looking at here is passion. Employees really do want to be proud about their workplace. So 2 of the 9 things that you want your team to say is that I'm proud to say I work here. Another one is that they work for a well-recognized brand name. Now, for those of you who work in national organizations. It's obviously going to be easier to have that well-recognized brand name, but it can also be in your local area. If you're a single location club, being able to show to your team that you're really well known in your community gives that sense of pride as well. The next component is giving employees the chance to shine. Now, this is really critical. Another area, which is empowering your employees. So 2 of the 7 elements to empowering your team includes responsibilities are clearly defined, and that people are trusted to perform important tasks. The other element here is a team bond. So a cohesive team will really support each other in those challenging moments. And you would have seen over the last couple of years with COVID, there have been lots of challenging moments. So 2 of 8 ways to think about your team bond is I have a good friend at work and I have fun at work. So thinking about what you can do to create that environment where it is feasible to have a good friend at work and have fun while you're there, because we spend so much of our time at work. And then what we're looking at here, the last component is around rewards. So employees do look for a variety of rewards that cover career progress, training, and also financial benefits. So 2 of the 7 rewards your team is looking for in their employment is learning opportunities to enhance my skills and opportunities for career progression within the organization. So without further ado, I'm just going to stop my screen share in a moment because we are going to be going into our panel session. So this learning outcome is best practice learnings on driving employee satisfaction in the fitness industry. So again, we've got these great panelists, Mike from World Gym, Caitlin from Fernwood, and Rob from Anytime Fitness. So I'll get you guys I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll get you guys to come off mute because we're going to jump into this session. So guys, I can assume you can no longer see my screen. Is that correct? Fantastic. All right, let's jump into it. So I think just to set the scene quite broadly, it would be great to get a perspective at a high level. What do you see as the pillars of a great employee culture in a gym? Caitlin, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ian. So there's 3 things that come to mind for me. The 3 key things. The first one would be someone who is passionate about the health and fitness industry. I think, and it's pretty natural in most of our gyms that you see everyone that's in the gym loves what they do. They love working out themselves and they love being involved in the workouts with the members. So I think that's a really key one. The second one is always willing to learn and have an open mind. You know, we're in an industry that is ever changing and there's lots of new developments over time. So having someone that's ready to learn and keep their mind open about what's out there is really key. And then a high level of customer service and the ability to work with people. We're a service industry, so we need to make sure that we can work with people and we like working with people.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Caitlin. What about you, Mike? What do you see as those great pillars of an employee culture?
Look, I think Caitlin just stole all our thunder. I think she just wrapped that up pretty well. I think the key for me is that people in our industry need to, like Caitlin said, it's a service-based industry. They need to want to be with people, working with people, helping people to achieve their goals and their desires. So people come to the gym for, you know, whatever the reason might be. It might be their release of stress. It might be to work on their body. It might be to hang out with their friends. Like there's multiple reasons why people use a gym. It's not just necessarily to pump iron, you know. So I think finding staff that can work with our member base and understand what their desires are and help them to achieve their journey, whatever that journey might be, I think is key and paramount. But they also have to have an interest in their own health and well-being and you know, present that they're on their own journey, and I think people relate to that. So I think that's a key fundamental.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I think that's a really great point, reinforcing what Caitlin has said, and then also being that role model in effect for your members. What about you, Rob? What do you see as those pillars of a great employee culture?
I think the guys have done a great job of from the employee side. I think from the employer side, I think I'll just provide a slightly different perspective. I think that, you know, having people that are passionate about what they're doing, as Caitlin said, is spot on, but having that authenticity when you're hiring people that are already members of the gyms and already live an active lifestyle, it's very easy for them to help others and have that natural inclination. So I think education is also super important to be investing in your team. I think having a culture that has a level of ownership and accountability, where people are happy to have got clear direction and clear KPIs, but then they're happy to own it, I think is also important from an employee culture point of view. And finally, they've got to have fun, and there's got to be an element of play and enjoyment, as you said from some of the stats that you shared, Ian. It's having a friend or having someone at work that they enjoy spending time with. So I think having that sense of play and fun is important in an employee culture.
Yeah, great. Yeah, spot on, Rob. And I think also from our research of member experience, one of the key elements is creating that vibe that people come to it, and it's got that buzz. So I think it has a dual purpose as well. So yeah, spot on. So we're going to drill a bit deeper now. So yeah, Caitlin, I guess a question for you. Club managers are really critical to the success of both a corporate and franchise gym. What are a couple of tips you have for the way to directly manage a club manager?
Yeah, club managers are so important. It's such a varied role. One minute they are, managing their expenses, then they're looking at sales targets and trying to increase revenue, and then they're managing staff, and then they're making sure the electrician gets there for, a light that's gone out. And then they're obviously, the key is making sure that the members are happy in the club. So in order to do their role, I think they need a lot of support from whoever, whether you're the franchisee or whether you're in a corporate business where you're managing your club managers. They need to have regular communication with you, and they need to have regular and relevant communication. There's no point having monthly reviews and then kind of reminding them that, at the start of the month that you notice that they, weren't on top of those members that were in some group fitness class. It's all irrelevant. So I think keeping it really regular with them all the time, and really honest and open with them. And, as I said, their role is so varied. They're doing so much. So I think being able to recognize that and know that, generally, particularly when you're at the higher level, you might be the franchisee or you might be in corporate owned, where you're, you're asking them about their sales targets all the time. Because as we know, more members helps the world go round, and we need to do that. But we also need to take the time to realize how much they're doing and support that with them all the time. And then just touching on in one of your slides, you talked about knowing their goals and their long-term goals for their future. Fernwood, obviously, we're a franchise brand. So a lot of the time, the progression from club management might become your own franchisee. And I think it's really important that as their leader, that you know that and you nurture that and you help them get up to that path. I think a lot of people think their next goal might be so far away, and they don't know how close it is around the corner. So if you can kind of, help nurture that within them, I think that really helps too.
Yeah, fantastic. And you've been a franchisee, and now you head up the corporate office. You talked about regularity. How regularly do you think you should be in touch with your club managers?
I think it's daily. To be real about it, it would be daily. You need to be there supporting them all the time, knowing what's going on in your club. Clubs are fast paced. There's stuff going on all the time. So every day, but give them a break for the times that they need a break too.
Yeah, cool. Let's go one level down now. Having reception staff who are consistently friendly and welcoming is critical to the vibe of a gym and to the culture of a gym. One for you, Mike. What tips do you have for how a club manager should manage their reception staff in their clubs?
One of the things that I really like to instill is that the club manager actually spends some time on reception. So that way it makes them relatable to what the reception staff do every day. It's in our clubs, I suppose it's a little bit different to a lot of clubs. We have a very large retail component to our business. So we're luckier in one way because we have so many more opportunities to talk to all of our members. There's so many reasons to engage with them. It's not just about their billing. It's not just saying, welcome or goodbye. It's, it's helping them with supplement products, with merchandise, with different advice and introduction to PTs and all sorts of different bits and pieces. So I think the manager needs to be in tune with what needs to happen day to day. Otherwise, they can't effectively manage their staff on what their expectations are. So they certainly need to share with staff in our gyms. We definitely have expectations around the sales that they make each day. So it's not just about welcoming a member into the gym. It's about welcoming them in, and then also offering them part of our whatever services they might need to facilitate their workout correctly. So I think when the manager works with the reception staff, they work with them on a one-to-one level where they really know what the outcome is by knowing what they want to deliver to the member, but also trying to instill in them what the member might want that doesn't know they want. So it's a bit of a sales forte for us as well as just being that normal gym membership type scenario. So I think the manager needs to be able to facilitate the role themselves in order to effectively expect a receptionist to do it.
Yeah, great. So to give them confidence that I've done this before, or I do this right now, follow me type of thing and follow how I'm doing it. So modeling and mirroring what they want to see from their reception team.
100%.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So then again, going, I guess, a little bit sideways here in terms of PTs. In many instances, PTs are not employed by a club, but are integral to the member experience. So how does the way you manage a PT or a group class instructor differ to the way you would manage an employee? Rob, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, happy to. I think I've worked across many different models for employee to franchisee to hybrid and everything between when it comes to PTs. And I think on the surface, someone who doesn't work directly for you as an employee could be harder to manage and harder to influence. However, I think if you look at it from the point of view of, you've both got a mutual best interest in the gym and the club succeeding, and helping the trainer to understand that it's a privilege to run their business or to do sessions and have access to the membership base and the facilities, not an entitlement, is certainly the right way to set up, I suppose, the relationship. And I think for me, it comes down to the recruitment process in many respects, making sure that you've got enough in that process to select people that fit well with the brand, the untrainable qualities, that they earn the jersey, that there's something in it that they value being part of the brand and they take it that way. And then, like anything, have clear guide rails and expectations that you can hold them to if you need to. But I think that the other thing for me is making sure that they're part of it. Sometimes they can be left out. So if you're including them in staff meetings, in updates, in the communications going out to members, all those types of things make a big difference. They're going to be a lot easier to manage and communicate with if they're part of the journey and they know what the club's trying to achieve. They know what your goals are. They know how good the month was or it wasn't. Show them how they can help. And even though they're not officially, employed, that will make a huge difference to the level of buy-in, and your ability to have the tough conversation with them as well is going to be easier if you've got a coaching relationship, they feel included, all those types of things.
Yeah, fantastic, Rob. I think we've done research in a number of industries and work with government as well. And I think when it comes to like part-time, or in this instance, PTs, it's so critical to make them feel a part of it, because otherwise, they don't feel included and they don't buy in as much. So yeah, great insight. Caitlin, what's your experience in the PT side of things? Yeah, how would the way you manage a PT or group class instructor differ to the way you manage an employee?
Yeah, absolutely. So Fernwood's probably unique in our PTs that we actually do hire them as employees. So that probably stands a little bit differently to this question. Obviously, they are part of our team, so it comes quite easy to make them part of the staff culture and all of the other expectations. But as far as group fitness instructors, whilst they are also employed, the nature of that role of a group fitness instructor is you do kind of fly in and out of lots of different clubs, and you might work, up to 10 clubs in any one week. So I think you just need to be really sure that you give that group fitness instructor a really nice, welcoming environment when they come to your club. The group fitness instructors have a big audience in front of them all the time. So they have a microphone with an audience and can say whatever they like, whenever they like. So you want to make sure that as a result of that they love working for you, and what they do come out and say is going to be obviously something that complements your brand. Making sure that you take the time to make their life easier, because they are going in and out of all these different businesses. To expect an email out to group fitness instructors at the start of a month to remember what the promo is and remember what you want to tell the members is just not going to happen. So taking the time, either as the club manager or getting your reception staff involved in this, where 5 minutes before that group fitness instructor walks into the class, you quickly grab them and have a really, really quick debrief on what you'd like them to say to their class. So it's the last thing in their head before they walk in that room, and they know to, promote that you've got an open day on Saturday, or it's bring a friend week, or whatever it might be. and making their life easier by having, you know, scripts that might be typed up, stapled to the, or, you know, stuck on the group fitness stereo where they look, where they grab their microphone, because they're trying to remember 10 different clubs. So to make their life easier to remember what's going on at your club, I think is really important.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, great tips. I hadn't thought of them being the microphone or the voice for your club. So a real opportunity to engage your group class instructors. Great stuff. So you touched on it before, a couple of you, in regards to the importance of setting clear expectations. And we know that's really critical to setting up employees for success. So what are 2 or 3 key performance indicators that transcend levels within a gym? So across different staff, whether it's your club manager or your PTs or your reception staff, what are 2 or 3 KPIs that would transcend it, and what makes them important indicators? Mike, what would those be for you guys?
Yeah, well, there's so many, isn't there? But I think, you know, like I said before, our platform is very significantly weighted around the retail component. So retail goals are very easy to set. To achieve a retail goal, they need to interact with members and the like. So, you know, it's very self-assessing, I guess, when they look at a retail number. If they're not able to hit retail sales goals, means they're not talking to enough people, because it's all about volume. So for our retail staff, it's very easy to set some hourly. We find that even by shift or even hourly targets are much easier to break down and understand and achieve, rather than hitting a big number for the end of the day. They hit little milestones along the day, which keeps them more engaged, and they actually get. We run a lot of group message chats, whether it be WhatsApp or Teams or whatever that particular gym might want to use, and the staff interact a lot on that, talking about where they're at in their target and how much they missed by and what they're going to do to change it and bring it up to speed. And they do that in amongst themselves with their team, which is quite good. As far as a manager goes, Caitlin highlighted how many different hats those people wear. And, you know, it's you know, at the end of the day, the gym's success is based on sales, whether it be membership sales or retail sales. Those are the 2 criteria that really make sure that at the end of the day, you've got a sustainable business. So, you know, they've got to be the key measures that the managers definitely measured against, and retention is obviously a very big part of that. So overdues and retention, as well as sales for those guys. And I think we also take a fair bit of time measuring class stats for our group fitness attendance and stuff like that. So I think, again, you know, like to include the instructors as part of your team, they have some goals around how many, what your average class attendance needs to be. So it gets them engaged with you know, singing out in the class and telling them to bring their friends along next time and that sort of thing, to actually get their numbers up. So yeah, I think clear KPIs and specific to the role is the challenge, but definitely having them is key.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I think making them specific is really important. So yeah, great point there, Mike. And yeah, for those group instructors as well, if you get more people engaged coming to their classes, it's going to become stickier for the gym as well in terms of membership. Yeah. Caitlin, what are your thoughts? What are 2 or 3 KPIs that you think would transcend across levels in your gyms?
Yeah, sure. So the main 2 that I thought of was customer service and customer satisfaction. I think that transcends on all levels, whether it be that you're the salesperson who's getting someone coming in and starting their journey for the first time, or a personal trainer that's, delivering sessions to a client. You want that person to feel seen, heard, and appreciated, and make sure that they leave your club as a better place, in a better place themselves. So no matter what part of the gym that you're in, outstanding customer service is key, and then obviously making sure that that customer is satisfied. And that's firstly through the fact that if they're satisfied, they're getting results. So whether it's a trainer or a group fitness instructor, they're delivering results for that person, or whether or not they are the sales or the customer service person that's making sure that they're feeling like they're part of a community. I often have heard the expression where they say that people have 3 homes. So they say usually your home is the house that you live in, another home might be your workplace, and the third home will be either a club or a sporting group that you're involved in. So for our members, their third home is often their gym. And what we need to remember is that third home they're paying for, right? Like their work pays them, their home is, they're where they've got to live. But to come to us, they have to pay, and they can stop paying at any time and walk out at any time. So we want to make sure that their customer service is wonderful. They love where they are, and they're getting results as well.
Fantastic. And is that a subjective feel, or you measure customer sat or customer experience on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, absolutely. So in different metrics across the clubs, whether it's via group fitness surveys and anecdotal sort of things like that. And also, obviously, we do things like member challenges and body scans and all those kind of things. And that's where we're going to see whether the member's getting results. But the biggest indicator is members walk with their feet. So whether it's, the group fitness classes that are, highly attended, we know that we're giving good service levels in those classes. And also, when the members are coming, then they're happy. So one metrics that we always look at is if you've got high visit attendance in your club, things are going well. But the minute your visit attendance drops down, then the next couple of months from that, your cancellation rates will actually increase. And it happens all the time. It happens to us. We talk about the key time of selling for every fitness industry. It's January, February. However, December, our visits drop off. So we actually, even though it's a key sales time, it actually starts to become a, high cancellation rate too, because people's visits have dropped and they're out of routine. So that's a really key metrics, is people walk with their feet.
Is that because in December they're swapping the gym as their third home for the pub?
Yeah. Their social group, their third home.
Yeah, no, but I love that analogy around the three homes. And from looking at the Google review on member experience, we see across the industry people commenting like, this is my home away from home. So yeah, spot on there. And speaking, I guess, of spirit and culture in it, depending on the setup of a gym, you may not have I guess the opportunity always to really give feedback to team members in a way that members aren't going to hear that. So, not every gym might have a purpose-built office space to coach and guide employees where a member won't hear the conversation. So how do you manage those opportunities for in-the-moment feedback for gym staff to provide constructive feedback? Or for PTs, maybe they are not showing clients the correct technique. How do you then get in there and give in the moment feedback without maybe not making them look as good to the members? Rob, how do you handle that? You've worked across a variety of different clubs with different setups. How do you manage that in the moment feedback?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think I appreciate that not everyone has a purpose-built office for this, but I've found over the years, no matter what type of gym or model I've worked in, there's usually always an area in the club where it's a little bit quieter and you can kind of have a conversation that might be out of earshot. But I think my first reaction was to think about, is it a safety issue or not? If it's a safety issue, then you have no choice. But provided it's not timely and you've got some chance to provide feedback on a session that you saw, on a way a trainer interacted with a member, on a way a sales professional toured someone, provided it's not not urgent. If you don't have the space in the club to do it, then I'd just say go and organise a time. I mean, you should have a regular time weekly with your staff member anyway for the development. Maybe the local cafe gives you that opportunity to have that more in-depth discussion. If it's a trainer, another strategy you could employ was to have a sweat session where you would each week, take on any feedback that you've seen, and then go as yourself, if you're the staff member or PT manager or whatever you are, with the trainer, and have a workout together where you can unpack all those exercise kind of corrections and things like that. So I think that, yeah, in my experience, sometimes it's not time critical, Ian. It doesn't need to be delivered immediately right now, or everything's going to fall over. It can be kind of parked and taken note of and delivered, without the need to get it off your plate as a manager, and actually have a structured session, once a week, whether it's a practical one or a skills one. I think that works pretty well. If you don't have that, then you might find the need to get it off your plate and have a chat to them in the middle of the gym floor before the next appointment, which, may not prove to be very effective. Yeah,
fantastic. No, I love it, having that structure of either going to the cafe or the sweat session, depending on that guidance you're giving. And Mike, any thoughts on that on your side of things at all?
Yeah, look, I think everything that Rob said's absolutely spot on. It takes sometimes all of your self-control to not jump on someone at the time, because it's, you know, when we're an owner or an operator of a club and you see someone doing something that's clearly either, you know, against the values of the club or just against the best interests of that member or the facility, it's hard not to just jump in and take the reins and correct them. But it also is important that, unless, like Rob said, it's a safety concern, if it's not a safety concern, then you definitely need to park it. And I think first and foremost is you probably want to make yourself some notes pretty quickly, so as you might be a little time before you do get an opportunity to talk to that person one-on-one. So you want to have some clear notes about what you saw that was bothering you at the time. But I think first and foremost is that you definitely need to control yourself and take it away from the public eye. I think all of us have seen a manager or a senior staff member unleash on somebody at reception or in the middle of the club floor, and it's not very pleasant, and at the end of the day it doesn't achieve any results, and it certainly detracts from an employee satisfaction rating for sure. So you want to keep those things pretty private and but urgent as well. You know, it needs to be dealt with as quickly as possible, but we're lucky in our environment. We've got big clubs, so there's definitely plenty of places to go and hide and have those discussions. But by the same token, if it's a reception situation, you can't just grab the person and drag them away from reception. They've got a job to do, so you can't leave it unmanned. So all those timing issues come into it. But I think yeah, make some notes, keep it confidential is the first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk with a lot of pride for your brand that you've obviously got for World Gym Australia, but how do you foster a sense of pride in the workplace in your gyms?
I'd like to think some of it just inherent, like people generally that come and work for us, they already have a sense of pride. A lot of them have trained in one of our clubs and they really enjoy the environment and the atmosphere that we create. We do have a slightly different, like we're all offering the same product at the end of the day, but some slightly different services within that, I suppose, within that offering. So ours tends to be a little bit more of the serious type of trainer, more results driven type of member that we have. So when we get those people that want to actually work within our group, they're already sort of pride based to a sense. They're pretty chuffed to be a part of the team, and I think then our job is to just keep instilling the same environment within their employee status as it was as a member status. So they feel like they're part of the group. They feel like they're getting the right information and they're being trained in what they're expected to do. And they are. I think part of the team is probably the biggest contributor. So it's, Caitlin mentioned earlier, it's about making people feel like they're part of a community. Gyms are definitely a community. And I think there's a staffing community within the gym and there's a member community within the gym. And there's quite often a bit of crossover. But I think if you can instill that community-based feeling, then the pride just grows along with that.
Yeah, fantastic. And Rob, as far as a brand's vision, how do you make a brand's vision live and breathe throughout every club and every employee?
Good question, Ian. I've got a slightly better answer now than I did a few months ago, but I think we've got, like most brands, I'm sure, the induction and the onboarding training, we have regular staff induction and onboarding training that gets people set up. We now have that, obviously, a fantastic LMS system, which means that people can be onboarded at any day, any place around the country, which we have to have with 530 clubs. So that's good. But we've also now got Workplace involved as a communications platform in Anytime Fitness, which means that everyone across the country is connected on that platform on a daily basis, and they're sharing good vibes. Chat goes off with people sharing chalkboards and member stories, and so people get the sense of being part of something bigger at all times, which is proven to be really, really positive in terms of keeping that brand vision alive. It means we can have two-way conversations too, so we found it to be very useful.
Yeah, fantastic. And Mike, you were just talking a moment ago about the importance of community and building community out. There's different gyms have different staffing levels. For example, a big box gym will have multiple staff on at any point, whereas a small footprint 24/7 style gym or a PT or group exercise gym may only have 1 or 2 employees on a shift at any point in time. This is for Mike and Caitlin. In the big box gym scenario, how would you create that team bond? Caitlin, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're very right. I guess, most of our gyms these days, we're all open 24 hours a day, and we have a varied group of staff that some work in the morning, some work at night, and sometimes our staff will never actually do a shift together and never see each other and never cross over. So it's really important to recognize that and make sure that you make the time where they can cross over. I'm a big fan of having team meetings where everyone can get together, and it's not just to have that team meeting to deliver, the monthly marketing promotions or the best practices and things like that. It's just actually so they can meet each other and get a bit of an appreciation for what each other does in the club. The girls that get up and open the 5 a.m. classes and things like that have a very different appreciation to those that, have to clock off with their last client at 10 p.m. And I think it's good for them to get to know that about each other. If you are going to have team meetings, make them easy for people to come to. So it's easy to turn around and say, oh, we can just do it on Zoom. But there probably is a bit of that Zoom fatigue now. And also you don't build the connection as much as what you do when you are around each other in a group. So, whether it's provide lunch, let them bring their kids, do whatever you need to do to make it easy for everyone to get there. Have workouts together as a team as well. We're in the fitness industry, and I think we all touched on at the very start, you have to be passionate about what you do, and to be passionate about what you do, you probably need to do it. So, team workouts and things like that are really important as well. And then, schedule out your year. Obviously, naturally, everyone will have a Christmas party at the end of the year, but perhaps it's scheduling out that you might have some kind of quarterly team building, and it doesn't have to be hugely over the top and a big day thing. It might just be something small, but get everyone together so they know all their colleagues that they work with.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm conscious we're starting to run short on time now as we're getting close to wrapping up. Mike, anything you wanted to add to that on building team and community, or is Caitlin?
No, Caitlin's definitely wrapped it up, but I think just going back to what I said before, like the and what Rob brought up as well about the team chat thing. I think that those chats are, you can't probably explain how important they are, because they're live, like especially WhatsApp and those sort of teams meetings type chats. They're just so interactive, and you can share pictures, and people do exactly that, what Caitlin was just talking about. They're just interacting every day about, wishing people happy birthday, and that it's much more personal than just what promotion is happening for the month. So I think that's a real key that I've seen with technology has enabled, is, over and above and beyond the monthly meetings and stuff that, they are a little bit hard for all people to get to, because they're all sort of revolve around their shift time. So it's a bit challenging, but definitely support all those comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Making it really human. Rob, you've come from a big box background. Anytime Fitness wouldn't have as many staff members on as a big box gym. What do you see as the difference in building team spirit in a gym like Anytime Fitness?
I think the only difference is you remove the layers. So when you go from a big box to a smaller independent owned studio or a franchise owned business, it's the layers between owner and employee are shrunk. And so a franchisee has all these little subcultures and almost a network of teams if they've got more than one club. So you can have a bigger impact and influence on that culture. So you've got to be, I suppose, it's a double-edged sword. No one else can have a bigger impact faster than you when you're in a smaller kind of setup like that, but it also can go the other way too. So I think it's just, that's the difference. That's the only difference I can see, Ian, is that there's the corporate bigger box has many layers, which means sometimes the messages can get diluted by the time they get down there in terms of culture, but the franchisee's got, or the independent owner has got a lot more opportunity to influence it and change culture super fast.
Guys, I'm going to put you on the spot here. If in 15 seconds each, we've talked about a lot today. If there's one thing you think the audience should take away from today, what's one thing you swear by when it comes to managing people? Caitlin, you've got your mic off. You kick us off.
Sure. So accountability is obviously the difference between getting saying you're going to do something, getting a result. So for me as a leader, you need to be accountable too. So do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, And then that'll make it really easy for your team to then follow on that accountability.
Awesome. Fantastic. Mike?
Definitely having those one-on-one interactions with your staff and letting them know that we're all real people and that we all face the same challenges every day. Doesn't matter what hat you're wearing. Everyone goes through their own little story and everyone's got their life story, and it's important for everybody to be able to share what's on their plate, so as they can help you to, or you can help them to best facilitate their role, and they can help you to help them more. So I think doing that.
Cool. Rob?
Yeah, I'd agree with Mike. I'd say spend your time up front recruiting the right person, and the management and your employee culture almost take care of themselves. And I would let your team also be part of that recruitment process so they can get a good sense of ownership, and it really helps. And the last thing would be, just to follow what Mike said, manage the whole person, not just the employee. You know, they have lives outside of it, and now more than ever, you've got to treat people as the whole person and everything going on, not just how many sales they did.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolute gold from all three of you. Thank you very much. Before we wrap up the panel session, Barry, with your expertise and oversight over the whole exercise and health and active health sector and training of exercise professionals, what are one or two things you think the audience should focus on to make the sector an industry of choice for employees?
Thanks, Ian. Look, a lot of this stuff has already been said, and it's really been a great session. Looking at all the comments, it's really been appreciated by those people who have been participating. I guess just a couple of quick observations, and a couple of the panelists already sort of crossed over this to some degree, but we have a fairly high churn industry. So I think it's really important we actually treat the employees as people, not as numbers. And really to sort of, I guess, as Caitlin said, mean what you say what you mean. I think, as one of the other panelists also said, make sure that you're very transparent in how you deal with staff. I would also recommend that if you have a performance issue of any type, you deal with it transparently and quickly, because your staff will be watching to see how you do deal with it. And the worst thing you can do is not deal with it. But basically just treat your staff with respect and try and understand the context where they're coming from. I don't mean you need to get into their lives, but just understand what drives them and what they're trying to achieve in their work-life balance. But other than that, I'm going to bow to the three panelists because they have provided some expert advice, which is very current and on topic.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Barry. Yeah, I understand lots of questions have been coming through, which is fantastic. Please keep them coming. Barry is going to work through as many as possible in the short time we have left. So just fire any last questions that you've got to Barry there. I'm just going to quickly share my screen while Barry gets those together to share something exciting we're going to be doing in the space with AusActive. So over the next 3 months, what we're going to be doing at 10,000 feet is we're going to be creating the inaugural employee satisfaction benchmark for the fitness industry. And we really do need your support out there in Clubland and in the fitness and health industry. So you can get involved with the benchmark. And if you do, it may also give you the opportunity to enter the first ever AusActive 10,000 feet Employer of Choice Awards. And more of that will be shared in the coming weeks as the awards program is released by AusActive. So if you are interested in learning more about how you can support the industry and raising the bar on employee satisfaction, you can reach out to us at info@10,000feet.com. But yeah, back to you, Barry, for the last couple of minutes of questions.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ian. I mean, Rob's been doing my work for me. There's been a couple of questions come in and Rob's been answering as they've been coming in. So he's actually satisfied all those. There was a couple of comments in the, or more comments than questions in the chat room. And Luke asked if this is going to be available after the event because he's got a partner who can't make the event. Well, clearly we'll have this online. And Roger also, and I think one of the panelists commented on this as well, the importance of onboarding new staff to make sure that, you know, it's not a cookie cutter approach as much as possible, because you do need to take into account the individual circumstances of staff there. But no, there's no questions there. There's just a couple of thank yous, lots of thumbs up coming on the screen. We've gone almost an hour, Ian, so you've really exceeded your time frame. But look, I've found this really fascinating because, you know, the staff are your first point of contact with your client, either existing or potential. And it just amazes me sometimes in any business that I see that people don't invest in that first contact, because it's so critical. You can do all the advertising you want to, but if that first contact is not good or positive, you've just wasted your money. So really good. Thanks, guys. Hang on, a question has just come up. Just bear with me for a minute. No, it's just a thank you to Rob again. Rob, mate, you can take my job.
Yeah, and I guess a personal thank you from me to to Mike, Caitlin, Rob, for taking the time to share your expertise, and obviously Barry for giving this platform to support the industry to grow. So and for your thoughts as well. So thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks,
the invite.
Ian. Thanks.